I was active on forums. Like, I was really walking the walk. And then when people started asking, I was like, okay, yeah, I can coach you. But a lot of people, they want to get to the coaching part without having done all the physical stuff themselves. Steven asks, what is the best way to become an online coach? He is currently going to school for exercise science, I believe, and nutrition. And one day he wants to be an online coach. Okay, it's a great goal. I mean, and you know, if that's your goal, that's your goal. I will say a few things. Number one, when I started online coaching, it wasn't really a thing. It was back in the days when there were just forums. And on these forums, I'm talking about mid-2000s. Like I started really coaching people 2008, but there were some people who were coaching earlier than that. You had these hardcore bodybuilding fanatics who were like, I want to hire you because you have done these things with your body and I've seen your posts. You're an intelligent person, you know the science, I think you won't lead me wrong. Let me be coached by you, okay? And then how it would work is the coach would write a plan online, diet plan, training plan, maybe supplements too if that was involved, and the client would check in once a week usually, sometimes less, especially if it was off season, maybe every couple of weeks. It didn't have to be every week. And as long as the person is dedicated and disciplined and they were smart hiring somebody that actually knows what they're talking about, worked well, works great. I remember my first client, he went from amateur to winning. It was a big NABA title in the UK. I'm not sure if it was the Mr. England or that was a long time ago, so I don't really remember, but he did great. And then he became a coach himself, and I've not talked to him in a while, but yeah, he did well. What I will say now is there has been this movement towards online coaching, not just in fitness and bodybuilding. Look across so many different walks of life. In a lot of cases, these people, for lack of a better word, they are con men. They are pyramid scheme conman artists. They are selling you based on whatever they're showing you online. Often they're not even showing you really good client results, are they? Sometimes they lie and they say that the pictures they post up are their clients, and they were never their clients, because it's the internet. There are no certifications or anything that you need to be an online coach. Now there are online coaches that are selling certifications that they've made, which is batshit crazy, to be honest. It's absolutely ridiculous, but people are doing it. People are doing it. I have some clients that pay me good money. It's more expensive than being a regular client for sure, to help them be coaches. But what do I help them with? Do I tell them how to create fitness funnels to get more interest, new clients? No, that's not what I teach them. I teach them how to avoid the toxic clients. If you look good, if you've had any kind of success, right? If you have walked the walk yourself, you are going to get a load of people who want your coaching, a lot. The problem is, a certain percentage of them will be so-called toxic people. They won't be coachable. They will try to develop strange relationships with you which are not appropriate. It will drain you, and it's just a negative experience all the way around. And then at the end, they will insult you and they will tell people that you sucked, even though you did everything you could to help them. So don't be thinking that online coaching is like this super easy ticket, because I know a lot of people do think this, and I understand. On paper it does sound easy, right? You just tell somebody how to do their fitness stuff, they send you good money every month, voila, done. That's why I also say people don't pay me for the diet or the training plan. They pay me for everything else. Bodybuilding and life, it's all interconnected, right? So if you have an issue with your life, it'll interfere with your bodybuilding. So my education is in psychology. I did 4 years of psychology, got my bachelor's. I didn't continue to go and get my master's because honestly I was already coaching and I was doing a great job of it. So advice I would give you, beside obviously learning how the body works so you don't tell people ridiculous things like limit sodium 4 months out from a show, besides that, learn psychology. Read books on psychology. Learn how the brain works, how different people think. That's going to be your best bet. As far as knowledge, most of these online coaches literally know nothing by the looks of things. I even know with some of my own clients, when they are coaching their own clients, they will say, well, this is what you've done with me. And I'm like, yeah, but your body is your body. So what I've done with you doesn't just mean that's a universal way you can do it with everybody. I mean, often it'll work to a degree, because, you know, what does work for one will probably work to some degree for somebody else, but it doesn't mean it'll work 100%. So you really have to really learn how to read people, communicate with people, create boundaries, healthy boundaries. You know, I charge $5,000 for a year in full for coaching. Sometimes I'll charge less. If I've worked with somebody and they were easy, I have one lady, great client, lifestyle client. She's signing up for a year again. I'm charging her half, $2,500. Why so little? Because she is not toxic. It's very straightforward. I've already worked with her for 4 months at this point. I know what's involved. But I need to charge a lot up front, because even though I have a good detector for toxic people, I really do. There's a lot of signs that set me off and go, okay, I'm not going to work with this person. But still, I manage to get clients that are toxic. And then at least if they've paid a lot of money, it kind of makes it more worth it. It still ends up exhausting for me and still burns me out mentally long term, but it helps balance it out a little bit. So just even knowing how much to charge each person, it's just a lot that goes into it. And I would never make my goal to be an online coach, to be honest. I owned a gym for 8 years before this. Before COVID, I sold my gym right before COVID actually started. I had enough of the gym at that stage, so I didn't even know about COVID when I sold it. And then COVID happened. I was like, oh, good thing I sold it. But I had enough of running a gym. But I'll tell you what, I will often miss being in that gym, being around people. Online work, it's great. I'm literally talking to people all day long. But at the same time, it can be a little lonely at times. So I literally go out of my way to go and train with people, train in-person clients, even though it doesn't make, money-wise, it makes me less to train somebody in person. I just do it for my own sake. So I don't know if I would aim to be online coach. You can be an online coach right now. You can just go into your profile and say online coach. If you have people that want to hire you, right, and they hire you, they pay you money, you help them, and at the end of the experience they go, that was worth it, then you're doing it. You're 100% doing it. So there's no barrier to entry. The barrier to entry is, does anybody want to hire you? And the best way to get people to want to hire you is put yourself out on the internet. You might notice how well, you know yourself, you're now on my Patreon. You're one of the first people to do that, and I really appreciate you for that, because I have always put out a ton of information on social media. I know I put out more information than most people. I'm sitting there writing it out, and it's a strategic plan, because I enjoy to put information out, and I notice most of these coaches don't do it. I've had coaches imitate me. I see that all the time. They will ask me the questions, but they might have 1 or 2 in-depth answers, and then they just like fall away, because I don't know if they don't have the patience, if they don't have, I'm not going to use the word intelligence, but they just don't have the willpower to get into such depth all the time. But how I see it is, this is my advertising platform. I don't like it. Social media is not my favorite. I preferred how it was before, just kind of word of mouth, but gotta change with the times. What else would I advise for you, man? I would advise that you work on your social media, build that up, because social media is all about visibility. At the moment, if you are using Instagram, work on the Reels. The Reels get the most views by far. That's a big actual reason that I've started this Patreon, because now that Instagram favors the Reels so much, it's not favoring stories, so my views are down. And it's not like people are not watching it or wanting to watch it. I will often have people go, oh, I didn't even see your story pop up, because the algorithms have changed. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to make a Patreon, and then I will answer people's questions in depth, like I have always done. And what I ask in return is, $10, $20 a month. I would say, I often have people send me a message and they say, hey man, can I pay you $50 and you just answer this question? I'm like, well, I do a one-time consult for $250. And they say, well, it's just one question. And I'm like, then just ask your question. I don't want your $20, $50. It doesn't matter, and it's not all about the money. Some money has to be made, because like everybody, I have to pay bills, but it's not about the money. It's about helping people. And that's why I've made this. I thought this is a good mixture between still being useful for me and me still being able to help people at a much more affordable rate than any coaching would ever be. So yeah, I think it's cool that you want to be an online coach. Just don't limit yourself to just that title. Reach for the stars, man. And most importantly, work on you. Remember, long before I was coaching anybody, and this is not saying that you need to compete, but I was winning world titles in powerlifting. I was doing bodybuilding shows, strongman shows. I was active on forums. Like, I was really walking the walk. And then when people started asking, I was like, okay, yeah, I can coach you. But a lot of people, they want to get to the coaching part without having done all the physical stuff themselves. They think putting a few pictures of them on the internet, on steroids, with a pump, with a filter, edited all up. They look how good I look. Hire me. It's like, don't be ridiculous. People aren't, some people are stupid, but most people are not that stupid, so that's not going to work. Another thing to keep in mind with the online coaching is, dude, you don't have insurance. You don't have benefits. Everything is on your own back. So if suddenly you have, let's say, the recession, my income dropped enormously for 2 months. I'm not going to go into exact numbers. Obviously, I was completely fine because it's not my only stream of revenue stream, but my actual coaching dropped by about 50% for about 2 months. I went from having everyday requests for coaching, and I would pick and choose who I wanted to work with. Suddenly, barely any requests. The only ones that were asking were people I didn't want to work with. And it was because the prices, the economy, everything had just gone haywire. Now it's balanced out again. But for a little while, it was kind of stressful. And if I didn't own part of a hormone replacement clinic, and I own some property that, I've got some other sources of income, it would have been an extremely stressful time. But even with all of that, it was still a stressful time. So I'm saying don't put all your eggs into one basket. Even though it might seem like it's super profitable, think about this. My Instagram, 36,000 followers, I got hacked. It went away like a year ago, right? I recently got it back, which is great, but for a moment, it was totally gone for at least half a year. So I had to make another account, and trust me, that's brutal, man. It took me so much effort to get that account even looking like it would be my account that I was banned over and over by Instagram because Instagram thought I was a bot because I was posting so much. I was literally just trying to make my profile look legitimate in the first few days. So there's things you have to keep in mind, dude. You don't want to set yourself up for something really stressful. But any other questions, let me know. I can go into detail on any topic about it that you want, man. It's my pleasure.